What is up? Damage Per Second Podcast, episode 213. 213. I got that right this time. But it's another amazing day here at DPS. And I'm always here with my man, the myth, the legend, the man of many slaps, the man that I look up to every day when I get a chance to finally talk to him at the beginning of the week. The homie SloMoBackSlap. What's going on, bro? What is up with you and how have you been?
We're going to have a great time tonight because there is a lot to discuss. And I got a lot to say about all these topics. So look, man, let's not beat around the bush. Let's get into let's hit these topics here, man. What are you playing, Forte?
So I have still college football. I finally bought the well, not finally because the season just started. So I bought the season the battle pass for Black Ops 6 for season 2.
I did too.
Played a little bit of that. I'm still deciding if I want to go ahead and just buy the black sale because I actually really like the skin that comes with it.
I didn't even see what the black sale skin was. I gotta check that out.
It's like some ninja stuff, bro. It's like crazy. It looks really good. I think it has a lot to do with like the, because right now we're in like what is it called? The year of the dragon and stuff right now. So it's a lot of stuff going on with ninja, samurais, like Chinese New Year and all that other crazy stuff. So definitely been playing that. Been playing a couple other games that I can't talk about just yet.
That is weird. They said, your icon is not in the screen.
Oh yeah, it sure isn't. I just realized that. Let me see if I leave and come back and see if it fits. That's weird.
Call of Duty.
I'm there now.
Although I haven't played COD in a couple of days, but I'm also playing it. I think, but matter of fact, I'll get to myself after you're done. You can go ahead and finish what you've been playing. Hello?
I was drinking water when you said that. Yeah, so Call of Duty, playing a game that I can't talk about. I'll let people know. You'll know soon. I'll tell people soon enough. Playing Ninja Gaiden Black 2 or 2 Black or whichever the way the acronym goes in it. I got like another 2 hours into Dragon Age, playing that, which is going to be a topic for today. The whole Dragon Age thing. And I mean, outside of that, I kind of sat back and worked on some other stuff. I posted a video yesterday.
I saw.
I posted a video yesterday. And I already made my video for I would have had it today posted, but I didn't want to like rush through it. So it's gonna post tomorrow with the whole Forza thing. So I already made and did the audio for that, got the thumbnail and everything. So be on the lookout for that at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning because we're gonna post that in the morning. But so got the content bug again. But outside of that, man, it's just been an incredible day, an incredible week. Shout out to all the people that watched that last video. I appreciate all you guys. It's doing well better. It's doing, I can't even think of the way I want to say it. It's doing way better than I thought it would do for a video that I haven't posted in over 11 months. I haven't done anything on that channel in 11 months. So
that's what's up though, man. That's what's up.
Yeah, so it's doing really good. And then and outside of that, just working and playing games as much as I can, man. Oh, and also I just picked up Spider-Man for PC. I haven't got a chance to install it yet, but I just picked it up.
Yeah. I might pick it up tomorrow. The thing is, I'm okay. So are you done? Because I could talk about why I haven't. Okay. So I'm still playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I'm very early, and I may be like in chapter 3. But I'm not far enough along where I could say, I mean, I'm probably still going to buy Spider-Man 2 this weekend, but I've been playing that and I've been kind of really playing around with mods. I've got it modded enough where all of its performance issues aren't as bad as they are with the base version of the game. And frankly, I just don't understand why Square Enix is just so bad at PC ports. I can understand your first couple of games after you lost Nixes being somewhat disasters, that you're trying to learn how to do this yourself. But there's just no excuse now for a Unreal Engine 4 game to perform the way this game performs. Like some of the shader cache compilation issues, the traversal stutter issues, these are things that people notice and we blame Epic and Unreal for in Unreal Engine 5. These are things that have been solved for Unreal Engine 4. So there's just no reason why in Unreal Engine 4 you should be having all of these kinds of issues. It's ridiculous. You only had DLSS as an upscaler in the options. You don't have FSR, you don't have XESS, they don't have frame generation. None of the things that people now consider to be common settings features in PC are available here. And it's just, what did you do with all this time? I mean, like, I don't know where it is. But it's just, yeah, I'm now at a point now where I got zero grace to developers and publishers who release consistent games on PC and don't take the time and care to make sure that they're done correctly. It does do, unlike Final Fantasy VII Remake, it does do a pre-compiler before when you launch the game. But the pre-compiler doesn't catch all the, like, you still deal with stutters. Literally every single time there's a new spell, a new animation, a new action, it all stutters. And so it's just like it's ridiculous. Now I'm not dealing with it now because I got the game modded, and the fact that modders, some random guy in his basement, can upload on a web page an engine.ini file that fixes 90% of your problems. You should be ashamed of yourself that some kid is fixing all the issues for you. I don't know if you hear that. My wife is like, I think she's like,
you vacuum.
I don't know, making a smoothie or something. I don't know.
It sounds like a vacuum.
I'm just like, what are you doing?
Hey, man, she's trying to be healthy, man. That's all. Don't knock your wife. She's trying to be healthy. I get
it. Anyway, so I've been playing that. I got a little bit back into. I want to knock out some of these games on my backlog, because as games are now starting to come out, I need to finish some of these other games. So I'm gonna finish Banishers because I started that and I didn't continue it. I'm going to play through that Life is Strange game that's just staring at me on my desktop every time I jump on my PC. I've just been playing so much Call of Duty, Marvel Rivals,
real man's game,
and and Fortnite, that like I just don't really have the time for anything else. So I need to just kind of like, put something on the back burner and knock some of these things, because like some of these games ain't gonna take forever to finish. It's just like I can beat a few games and then go back to my live service. The question is,
do you really need to play those games? So it's the question.
Well, I want to, because I don't want to just uninstall it and then it's just I bought it and never played it.
But this is okay. So this is me. This is your friend Forte speaking to you right now. Shannon, is real government name. Shannon is talking to you about this.
Okay.
I tell you all the time, I don't know why you go out and buy games when you know you're not going to play them anytime soon.
Yeah.
You do it all the time.
Have all the intention on playing and beating them. I just look look, Rebirth. I've probably got about a dozen hours in Rebirth already.
Okay.
I've been playing that.
But Rebirth's not the problem though. You actually play like these other games that you bought and haven't even started.
I need to say this. Queen's Blood. If Square Enix has an ounce of intelligence and a little bit of common sense, they will make a Queen's Blood game, like a card game, just on the side, its own thing. You could have it still be canon within the FF7R universe. Just make a Queen's Blood game. I'm telling you, it would do so well. Queen's Blood is it's like one of the best mini games I've ever played in a game. It's so good, and I spent a good long time. Even though my deck is still kind of a little low levelish, but I beat everyone that I can fight up into except one guy. This guy who's fishing by a dock. You know, he's just got better cards than me. It's just like I'm outmaneuvering him, but he just keeps dropping these cards. It's just like I can't do nothing about it. But like I said, outside of that, and you know, I even though I haven't played COD in a few days, I might play it tonight when we're done with the show. But
yeah, so
I'm having a good time, man.
That's good. Silverlap, that's not the problem. You know, he says, I do the same Forte when I see those beautiful discounts. I get the discounts. This the problem. Slomo buys games full price. Don't play them when he gets them. He could just wait for the discount. That's my thing. If he was just waiting for the discount, I'll be like, oh yeah, that was a good deal for that game. You know, play it when you get a chance. But this man goes out and spends hard-earned money, you know, because he works real hard for his money. He is working real hard today. That's why that man tired right now. He probably took 2 Red Bulls already throughout the course of this day. Might be on his 3rd one. Who knows?
One.
Oh, you just on one? Did you just take it or did you take it earlier?
I'm drinking it right now.
Oh, he's like, I'm doing it right now. So yeah, so no, the man's tired, so I get it. But the man needs to, you know, calm down. Calm down a little bit, man. These developers don't deserve your money day one if you ain't gonna play their game day one. Just saying.
Look, man.
But I ain't gonna watch your money. Y'all ain't gonna watch your pockets. I just want you to know, Forte loves you. Shannon loves you. The whole Thomas family loves you. And we just want you to know that we just here for you. You know, so that's it. But let's get into these first topics. Let's get into these this rundown, man. Let's get into the rapid fire stuff. So 5090 review. We're gonna get the PC stuff out the way because you know most of you guys are console guys and we hear you loud and clear. So we're gonna throw the PC stuff in the quick rundown so we can just get it out not get it out the way, but just talk about it real quick because it is some substantial stuff that kind of happened. 5090 reviews came out I think week before, 2 weeks ago. Now we have the 5080 reviews have come out. And oh boy, I have never seen so many people just confused by a launch when it comes to the performance that this thing is putting out. Normally, in a normal year, when a new generation comes out, the 80 series usually always comes close or even outperforms the king of the previous generation, which in this case,
the flagship card, the last one,
which would be the 4090, or it would have been the 3090 or something like that. The 4080 at launch was doing better than the 3090 Ti at launch. Now we're looking at, 5080, if things stay the same, you were thinking like, oh, okay, it may not beat the 4090, but it at least comes close or it may surpass it in certain titles. Let me tell you, bro, if it ain't a game that has, if it's not a game with frame gen, that thing ain't coming nowhere near close to a 4090. It's like ridiculous out here.
It is so bad.
Talk about
it,
bro.
is so bad that if NVIDIA keeps the same, like, very little increase in performance for the next generation. So 2 years from now, they'll come out with the 6000 series cards. If the 6080 is the same percentage improvement over that it is over the 5080, the 6080 still won't outperform the 4090.
It won't.
That's how bad it is. That even the 6080, if they kept to the same pace they're at, would not outperform a 4090, which would then be a 4-year-old card. You know, I blame AMD for this.
I knew you.
I gotta blame AMD for this. Because this is what happens when there's no competition. When you don't have competition, you just, you know what? This car, and y'all, if you guys have been listening, if you were here for DPS about 3-4 weeks ago, I told you guys this is what they were doing. The 5080 is really a 5070 Ti.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it really is. But they're calling it a 5080 so they can justify charging you more for it. And that card is look, you go through the history of their cards. When a card has 50% of the of all of the improvements that the flagship card has, half of the cores, half of the memory, when it has half of all that stuff, it's typically been the 3070s, the 4070s. It's been those cards, not the 3080, the 4080. This 5080 is a 5070 Ti, but they tried this last time, and people called them out on it. So now what they did was they didn't show you two different 5080s. They just showed you the fake one. They want you to buy. So look, I blame AMD because they're not competition. AMD not even dropping a high-end GPU this current generation for RDNA 4. I mean, they will for UDNA, but it's just like when you don't have any competition. You know, this is how companies act when there is no incentive to give you even remotely a good deal.
Bro, that card is
thanks a lot, AMD.
No, that card is barely beating a 7900 XTX, bro.
Look, and this is a paper launch, by the way.
It is a paper launch.
So if you try to go buy one, you can't because they're not available. And why are they not available? Because they barely had any. And it's just I know they want to be like, they're going to be on social media like, hey, the 5090, the 5080s are sold out. No, they're not. I mean, they are in a sense, but you barely released any.
You backed up half a truck, basically.
Yeah, and so this is just, it's unfortunate, but if you are someone, especially, I would say this is very unfortunate for people who are on a 3000 or 2000 series car and they really want to upgrade right now. They have discontinued the 4000 series card, so you can't go get what would be now definitely a great value of a GPU. You can't do that because they're not available at like retailers as a brand new product. You have to go to the secondary market, like go on eBay. And the prices now are inflated because people are seeing where the value is. It's on 4000 series. It's now on 5000 series. And then, the scalpers have taken the very little supply of the 5080s and 5090s, and now those are being scalped. I saw on Twitter, someone showed the screenshot of a 5090 that was $5,800.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Absolutely ridiculous. But this is the way the market is right now. I hope everyone's GPUs don't crap out on them, because more than likely, when you try to RMA it, they're just going to give you your money back because they don't have a refurbished or other card that's of the same level to give you. as a replacement, or they'll try to fix it. If they can't fix it, then they'll just give you your money back, and you may get your money back, but what you gonna buy with it?
What you gonna spend it on?
Yeah, what you gonna spend it on? So it's just it's unfortunate that this is the way things are right now at the moment with the GPU market. This is a great opportunity for AMD with their 9070 XT to really make some moves in the market. But, it's AMD, so they're going to definitely screw that up. They're going to overprice it. They're going to do something stupid because it's AMD. They always do. And
it's just funny when AMD comes out and says we're getting out of the high-end hardware business for graphics cards. It's the year that Nvidia basically craps the bed and says, well, since you're not gonna push us, we're just gonna meet the expectations of your card with our second to highest tier card. And it's all just like you said, paper launch is bogus because it's like the power that they're giving you. The card that everybody's going to really want is the one that they haven't talked about yet, which is going to be the 5080 Super that comes out. That's going to be nestled somewhere in the middle of that $1,000 to $2,000 range. And I'm just telling you right now, hot take, a lot of the reviewers that talked about these cards, especially the 5080, that 16 gigs of VRAM ain't even enough for some games now. It's like pushing up against the limit.
It's enough.
No, it is enough. No, it's enough. But it's the fact that it's games out there that's literally going up to 14 gigs. I mean,
it won't be enough in 2 years. In 2 years, if you want to play at 4K and max settings, you're going to need more than 16 gigs of VRAM.
But that's why
in 2 years.
But that's why I think that 5080 Super, when it comes out, is going to be 24 gigs of VRAM. And I think it's going to be $1,500.
The one they drop next year.
The one that's nestled in the middle of the 5080 and the 5090 is going to be right there at $1,500. Yep, it's going to be 24 gigs of VRAM on that one. It's going to be the first 5080 to have it. Mark, I'm saying it here now because it's very interesting that they found the value proposition by boosting the 5090 to 32 gigs and didn't raise the 5080. It's like, well, 24 gigs is like that sweet spot for 4K gaming. 32 gigs is overkill, but it's more of a workstation GPU that just can play games too. It's not really geared to gamers, even though it's, got the word RTX in it and, people looked at it as a gaming CPU, a GPU. The card that they ain't even talking about that's going to come out next year, like you said, is going to be the 5080 Super or TI or
TI. It'll be a TI because it's going to be a significant improvement over the 5080, but it will be what the actual 5080 should have been in the first place.
Should have been exactly. So that's crazy. But all right, first rapid PC conversation's over. Y'all can unplug your ears now. Next rapid fire topic. PlayStation has announced that there will be incentives coming to PlayStation games on PC if you have a PlayStation Network account to log in on your PC. So this will include games for like Spider-Man 2, Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster, and The Last of Us Remaster, and God of War Ragnarok. All of those games will offer in-game content that is unlocked for users with a PlayStation account. They are really trying to get that active user number up.
Look, this time last year, Helldivers 2 close to this time last year. Helldivers 2 came out, it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
As the year went on, Sony tried to push the whole you gotta play our games with PSN because they wanted to brag on those PSN numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like they wanted that to be the something they could talk to their investors about. Look how many people that we got in PSN, and look, and this number is playing on PC, that kind of deal. And PC gamers was like, nah, fam, we don't want to do that. Whether, you agree with it or not, whether you think it was goofy or not, it is what it is. It's how they felt about it, it's how they handled it. Now it looks like Sony has blinked because now
Mhm.
Sony's like, all right, well, you ain't gotta do that, and we're going to tell you won't have to do that for every game. It's going to be only some games. Don't worry about it. Only some games. And if you do it, here are some benefits. And I think that's them. That's good. That's good. Sound business when you have a consumer base that doesn't want to do or doesn't find value in what you're attempting to do. All right, well, you find a way to make it important or interesting for that community to do those things. That's it. I have felt for a while that when they finally came out with their PC launcher, that a great incentive to get people to not play their games through Steam would be to have them play their games through the launcher, and you would give them some kind of like extra perks or exclusive cosmetics you can't find anywhere else kind of thing, like that kind of stuff. And I think they might eventually do that as well once that does come out. But you can definitely tell based off of the announcements that they made recently, that it's already kind of like in their mind that you got to give PC players some kind of incentives to play ball, because otherwise they're not. And that's just how they are. They're not going to just do what you want because you said so, and you want to try to put your foot down. They're not, not trying to be dismissive of console gamers, but console gamers take a lot of things that they don't like, and PC gamers come together. Whether you agree with why they coming together or not, but they will come together and demand certain things, and it has proven to work. So
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. It's like ultimately it keeps coming back to PlayStation wanted to do it their way, and when they noticed it wasn't going to work the way they wanted, and they almost torpedoed the one games of the service that they released that was like very viable for them at that point, because people
Yeah.
literally stopped playing the game.
Right.
Even if they weren't affected by it, PC gamers was like, I'm not playing this. And then you see they opened it up for more people to be able to play in other territories and stuff now. So
Mm-hmm.
this is just, like I said, they really we all knew that this was just a grab to basically boost their engagement numbers across PSN. We knew that's the reason they wanted, because there's no reason for you to log in to a PSN account to play the games that they want you to play.
Right.
I guess some of the benefits for like Helldivers is for crossplay, but you didn't even have to do that to play crossplay. So they found a way around that. So it's basically a money play. It's a way that they can go to their investors and say that we have this many people playing on these platforms, and kind of justify why they want to put games on PC and everything. So it's just now if they want to be able to get that information, they have to like entice the gamer to do it, which should have been the thing from the very beginning. Like,
Mhm.
give gamers something to think
Yeah, if
about,
you
and they'll
know they
pick
don't like something that you want to do, you create a value proposition
for
that
them to do it.
convinces them to go do that thing. It's business, and
Right.
I hope that console gamers start to kind of understand how that works, because you have the ability, the power to do that too. You just have to have a little bit of community work,
Yeah.
put into it. You can't just be like, oh, well, no one's ever going to do that. Other people aren't going to come aboard, so it is what it is. I mean, that's the way it's been, but it doesn't have to always be that way, is what I'm saying. So good for PC gamers. They're getting what they wanted. They're not going to have to deal with signing the PSN, even though I don't think it's that big a deal in the first place.
I mean,
It's
to the
not
PC,
like
yeah, it's
they're
not a big deal.
It's not a big deal at all. Like you don't have to put a credit card on it. You don't even have to even give it the email you care about. You know, it's just it's silly. But
It's literally not like everybody doesn't
people,
have
yeah,
16
people
launchers on their
will,
PC anyways already.
right.
So
So
shout
anyway.
out Ramon Terrell. He says he has a question. He said, "I'm curious if all PlayStation games aren't on PC. What is the advantage of a launcher? Would that enable us to play their whole library on PC?"
I think mostly it's about being able to tell investors about how many players do you have in your ecosystem, right? But I think ultimately there will be a time where they're gonna do more with that on the PC platform, and having people who have accounts and are actually, you know, engaged in buying their games, engaged in the platform in the future is going to be important for them, because it's not just going to stay at just, you know, we put some games over there after their sales tail has ended on console. I mean, that's been their MO, and what they claimed is what they do for it the whole time. But you can tell it's more than that. You know, it is going to become more than that, because there's a lot of gamers there that you can take advantage of. And it's the PC. I saw a statistic earlier this week where it said like the PC community, as far as developers putting games on it, is growing. The market itself is growing more than the console market is. And it's just it makes sense. You know, you're going to want to invest more in a platform that has a lot of potential revenue growth, and just in growth in general for your platform.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, last rapid fire. Another PlayStation one. Starting in June 2026, so basically a year from now, PlayStation games will no
Mhm.
longer be a key benefit and will only be occasionally offered for PlayStation Plus monthly games and game catalog. We will still provide games that are playable both on PS4 and PS5 after this date, though. So basically, we all know that you were getting, it used to be, remember a long time ago you were getting, when the Vita was still around, you were getting two PS3 games, two Vita games,
Mhm.
and you were getting two PS4 games. And then once they move over to PS5, well, once they phased out Vita and PS3, then you were getting two PS2 games. And then when we went to the PS4 5 generation, they were giving you two PS4 and and like one PS5 game, I believe. So it was three games altogether. Or it was like one game would be one that was PS4, one game would be PS4 and PS5. So they have done this over the course of generations, like phasing out older ones and stuff like that. But this is like kind of the first generation where a lot of the games are forward compatible, like PS4 to PS5. You know, if King is incorrect, you know, he's, like he says, he's 98% correct, and that 2% really hits, and PlayStation does make a PlayStation 6, then PlayStation 5 games will work on the PS6 too. So what do you actually think about them, like, you know, basically just telling people out right now, like, we'll still give games that's playable, that's PS4 and PS5, but they won't be the norm like they are month to month at this point.
Well, I mean, look, the PS4 generation was 5 years, almost 5 years ago now. I mean,
Yes.
it's 2025, but like the PS5 launched in late 2020, so we got almost 5 years since that last generation. At some point, you got to pull the plug on certain things, and so it's you know, I'm not surprised that it is what it is. This makes a lot of sense for them, and yeah, that's all I got on that.
Yeah, I agree with Ramon. He said this was this wasn't even a necessary launch. They could have just did this quietly in the background, and people would have just been like, "Dang!" You would have just upped and noticed one day that there's no PS4 games there.
Yeah, People, when people would have noticed, they would have complained. But yeah, it's would have been. It didn't need to really need to be announced, man. I agree with that.
Right. And I think the biggest thing is it's not that I think they're just basically I think if you're reading it correctly, they're just getting rid of the PS4 games that are just PS4 and don't have a PS5 version. Like most of the PS5 games that have released over the course of the last, at least since the release of the PS5, most of those games have a PS5 version or they have a PS5 upgrade path that allows you to either upgrade for free or pay a small fee like $10 to do the upgrade. So I think a lot of those games are the ones where you'll still see those consistently coming over because they do have an upgrade path. But like you said, I think the ones that are just stuck on PS5 and they don't have PS5 versions that you can upgrade to, games like Fuse and older Maddens and stuff like that that they used to offer, or think about games like what is it called, Rocket League, because Rocket League doesn't have a PS5 version, it's only PS4, and that's like a really really big game. I can see games like that not being a part of the service anymore, but games that are still going to be on both, I think those will be there. So I definitely agree, it's just something that is just like they stopped producing as many they're not even really in production for PS4 games anymore, other than the stuff they already were working on. Everything going forward is pretty much PS5 going forward. So I definitely agree with that. So let's move on to the first topic. And hey, guys, if you got any questions that you want to ask them in the chat about any of the things, and we'll bring it up and we'll talk about the things that you guys want to talk about too when it comes to some of the stuff we're talking about. But SIE has a new CEO. Now, people, there's people that are like,
you going out of order?
No. Oh, I did go out of order. Shoot, I was reading down. Yeah, we got to get to this BioWare one first. BioWare, yeah, I completely skipped over that one. You know what? Because I'm just tired of. I don't know what's going on at EA. BioWare hit with layoffs, mostly to the writing team, and none of those people are going to be basically working on Mass Effect 5. But go ahead. So I want you to go because you sent it to me earlier today, and I didn't get a chance to really read into it. I like read the stuff about the writers and everything like that. But go ahead and tell everybody exactly everything that's going on there, because it does affect more than just Dragon Age being put on pause for now and how it's affecting Mass Effect in the future.
Forget pause. Dragon Age is done.
Yeah,
Dragon Age. There will be no more Dragon Age games, unfortunately. And I actually have enjoyed the Dragon Age series more than Mass Effect. So for me, this is really like frustrating, because I hate that this is going to end up being the last Dragon Age game, one where the writing really wasn't on par with what people had expected and the level of quality that people typically had from BioWare and Dragon Age in the past. Like this is, people used to say Dragon Age 2 is the worst Dragon Age game, but they would say that based off of like reused environments. They never said that based off of the actual like writing and the characters and the plot, the story, all that stuff was fantastic. And I enjoy Velgar. It's a good game. It's just kind of, I would say, better than Andromeda for sure. The problem is that when it comes to a certain level of writing quality, people expected more, and it just didn't deliver on that. And EA came out and said that Dragon Age the Velgar only sold 1.5 million copies, which was half of what they expected it to sell. Because of that, BioWare has had a restructuring as a studio. So BioWare has always been a studio that makes multiple games. Now they aren't doing that anymore, unfortunately. to be frank, BioWare is now just a studio that is making Mass Effect. That's all they're doing. The only people who are there at BioWare now are people who are actively working on the next Mass Effect game. And if that game does not deliver, the studio will officially be done. But BioWare is unofficially done right now. They will not be making. EA hasn't outright said this, but it's pretty much a guarantee. They won't be making any new IP. They won't be making Dragon Age games any further. All the writers that wrote on Dragon Age the Veilguard, except for the very best ones, and I'm going to say the very best ones, I'm talking about the ones who wrote great, created great characters from the series, like those people who were there working with David Gator, who was the lead writer for Dragon Age. Those people have been reassigned to other roles outside of BioWare, but still within EA. Everyone else who was involved with the really unfortunate writing that occurred in that game are not even they got laid off. Just they're not there no more. They're gone. And I'm not trying to make light of that, because anyone losing their job is not a good thing, but it is unfortunately what it is. They've done a lot of layoffs at BioWare to get where they are right now, and it's I hope Mass Effect does well. Although we talked about some things about how that game, some things that were said about that game that we didn't quite like,
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pass judgment on it. I still want it to be good, and I still, I'm keeping an open mind on it. But we just gotta come to terms with what the truth is. The studio is kind of done for, and I know I've been critical of EA in the past, but there's just certain things that have to be acknowledged. EA may have forced the Frostbite engine on them when it wasn't an engine that could be at the time used in the manner that they use game engines to make their RPGs, but it is now. So there's no excuse. They gave them a long leash with Anthem. Anthem's failures are BioWare's problem. The mismanagement, the poor leadership, all that stuff has been documented in multiple reports. It's all BioWare's fault. EA has a reputation of prematurely destroying studios after changing their culture and then telling them how to make their own games and then wondering why those games don't work. That didn't happen here with BioWare. And if you are of the mind that the closing down of Visceral, who created Dead Space, and the reaction by the gaming community may have allowed BioWare to have a little bit more rope to deal with over the years, that's fine. But EA has been patient with this studio at this point. You have Mass Effect Andromeda, which failed. Now, granted, I think EA pulled the plug too soon. They didn't even give BioWare enough time to fix it. But very similar to Veilguard, with Mass Effect Andromeda, that had plain DLC that they were working on. They canceled that DLC because the game didn't sell enough. They pulled the plug and moved on. Dragon Age Veilguard is not having any DLC, and they announced that after the game launched. And not before the game launched. After the game launched, they announced the game wasn't going to have any DLC, which, again, very similar in reaction to low sales. Anthem was in development for years and years and years. It was BioWare's own mismanagement and incompetence that released the looter shooter that didn't have good loot, or even an ability to change out your loadout mid-mission. It's ridiculous. Um, that game failed financially, even though it sold a lot of copies. It didn't meet sales expectations, and it didn't meet. And everyone who bought the game, like not over 95% of those people, were gone after a month because of the bugginess of it, the poor writing. A BioWare game is expected to have good writing. It didn't have those things. So there's two strikes there. Now, Veilguard, your sales goal was 3 million, and you didn't even get 2. It's just like, even as someone who has enjoyed their games, like there's no defending it. This is a business, and they're not going to, even though it's unfortunate the game went through like 2 or 3 reboots. What can you do if you could? The studio has 3 separate occasions, back to back to back, failed with their releases of their games. There's just gotta be a vote of no confidence at this point. And so, if Mass Effect wasn't Mass Effect, this studio would be shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're going to let Mass Effect come out because they think just off the strength of the IP, it's probably going to sell well. I just, again, I hope for the best for those who lost their jobs. I hope they get on their feet. I'm just disappointed overall that I'm probably not going to ever play some of those games. So I always kind of like held out hope that maybe they'll do a Jade Empire remake, or they would do a true remake of Dragon Age Origins, because it could really use it. And now that's what I was going to have. They're never going to. I don't think they'll ever release another Dragon Age game again, and kind of leave it where it was, with a terrible secret ending that just pissed off the entire Dragon Age community. Is just leaves a sour taste in your mouth. And the last thing I'll say on it is that I think that I hope, even though I know EA won't do this because they just sit on their hoard of IP, like a dragon in a Lord of the Rings movie, who just sitting on a pile of gold he can't do nothing with.
Mm-hmm.
EA is just gonna sit on a pile of IP and do nothing with it. I would love to see them sell like the Dragon Age IP to like some of these ex BioWare developer studios. Like Yellow Brick Games just released the Eternal Strands. I have a review code for it, and I didn't really enjoy it that much, but I'll get into that a different time. But the guy that runs that studio was the lead director for the first 3 Dragon Age games. Archetype Entertainment, that's making Exodus, are full of mostly former Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, and Neverwinter Nights devs from BioWare. Like sell the IP to them. Maybe they can do something with it. Although it seems as though a lot of those guys, if you listen to what they say, they're kind of trying to create new things.
Yeah.
And not go, back the nostalgia route on ground they have already tried it on. So it is what it is. I'm just, it's unfortunate that we're never going to really kind of see some of these IP again. What are your thoughts about this one?
Like, I am not as in love with Dragon Age as much as you are, so I understand how you feel. I'm the opposite. I'm Mass Effect, and I even see that being an issue because now, remember when I was telling you, we were talking about how Halo's failures are going to be Starfield's regrets. As soon as one game fails and the pressure gets moved to the next one, and even if Starfield was a 10 out of 10 game, it had to be a 10 out of 10 game to get people to want to, feel good about the direction Xbox was going in. That's where BioWare is now. It's like Dragon Age being a good game, but didn't live up to critical success, didn't lead to a monetary success. I mean, over 1 million copies of a game should be celebrated, but the length of time it took to make the game, the different iterations they went through, the different directors they went through, um, just the overall length of development for the game didn't help it. So it had to do really, really well in order for that game to, like, in EA's eyes, to be a success. And now that's being moved. Now that's being moved over to
I
the
wouldn't
other.
even say he had to do that. I mean, all they asked for was 3 million.
I know that's all they asked for, but how?
And
We,
which I
yeah,
thought was conservative, considering that Dragon Age Inquisition sold like 11, 12 million, something like that.
yeah,
So, but it makes sense that you don't expect them to match that same level when Dragon Age Inquisition came out like a decade ago.
right.
So it was like you can't expect because it did that it's going to be the same. It's going to do the same like performance.
The game
It's
was
been
too
too
dormant.
long.
Yeah, the game been dormant
Yeah.
too long. I mean, at a certain point, that's why I think, like, even if you think about like games like Gears of War, it's about time for them to get another one out there, because we like that they took the break, but you don't want to take such a big enough break where people kind of just forget about the IP, or the people that love the IP and want to see it do better and pick it up on day one. You don't want those people to, like, either age out or just, you know, get distracted by other games, because we are in a generation of distractions when it comes to games now. It's like most
Mm-hmm.
people have a couple of games that they're playing throughout a year. Like, think about this, Lomo. Ever since I known you, and you're going to be my case study here. Ever since I known you, you have always been a person that beats multiple, like, far double digit games every year. Like, one year is in the 50s and the 40s and 50s again. And this is going back to
Mm-hmm.
2015. And just listen to what you just said today. Now, I was just messing around with you, like buying games and not playing them day one and just wait for a sale to get them. But the key thing that you said during that was, I got to find time because I'm playing, because your live service games are kind of taking over. You got to find time within the realm of juggling Call of Duty, juggling Fortnite, and then Marvel Rivals threw a big wrench into plans being as good as it is. So
Mm-hmm.
it's already hard enough to play just one live service game. Trust me, I know it was hard. Like, dude, I had to, like, think about it. I had to literally take a break for Destiny to play God of War when, like, 2018. Like, that was like the first time I put Destiny down for an extended period of time to play that game over the course of, like, I think it was like 34, 35 hours. And then I went right back to doing what I was doing. I literally went through a whole generation playing a live service game that literally ate into my all the different games I used to play. So it's like, if a game doesn't hit, if you first of all, if you take too long to develop it, people are just not as interested in it anymore. And then you're also in an age of games where it's like a lot of games out here that's like 50, 60, 70 hours long. Like, the fact that, like I told you, the fact that you went from playing Metaphor, playing Final Fantasy, like, you played Rebirth, Metaphor, and Dragon Age all in the same year. And not even the same full year, like half a year. Because both of those games all came out towards the middle end of the year.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, I don't really feel like that's a big deal. I
No, no,
mean,
no,
it's
no.
what I
But I'm
do,
talking, but I
right?
know, no, I'm not saying that that's a big deal for you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying for the average person, like, you are above average. Like, you can still play 3 live service games and still play other games. You find time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The average person that's playing one live service game, trying to get them to play 2 long 70-hour games, it's like a whole nother ask. And that's why you see That's why you see, these companies struggling like they are to an extent, in my opinion, because, a lot of that development cost can be cut down drastically if we just make realistic long list, length in games. And then on top of that,
Mhm.
just really ask the gamers what they want and don't try to. I love when the developer goes out of their way to like try to implement new things into a game, and they want to break down barriers and stuff like that. But I also think that it goes a little too far when it comes to like the overall ask that you expect out of the gamer themselves, because I think they're looking at it like, oh, this game's going to be awesome, we're putting all these things in the game and people are going to love it. But are they actually going to make it to that thing in your game? Because more people quit a game, more people buy a game, play 5-6 hours of it, may get through half of it, and then either they quit and find some. Not now, I won't say they quit. Either they stop and play
Mhm.
something else, and they just never get back to the game. Like there's multiple games
True.
like they just don't go back. It is not because they
Right.
didn't like your game. It's just that something else came up. So
I'll
they
tell
need
you
to
something
figure
that
that
I
out.
do frequently, and I'll admit this. I will
What?
play a game that, I guess the kids will call it mid, right? It's a mid game, and it's not like a great game. It's not a terrible game, but I'll play it. Sometimes you guys probably have seen me live stream games like this, and I'm like, hey, it's all right. I'll keep playing this. I'll keep going. But I really like. It's not that I didn't like the game. I didn't like it enough to keep playing.
Right.
It's like I didn't like it enough to play it over other things that I may find more interesting. That's really what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
and I I'm starting to recognize that about myself. And so now when I kind of like it doesn't mean it's a bad game or it's a terrible game. It's just it didn't catch my interest. And sometimes if I do actually get back to those kind of games, I realize that like if I get back to it later on, I really enjoy it. So really what my problem was is just that it just wasn't for me at that time. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't feeling it at that time. And if I could ever get to doing that sometimes, then I can get back to some of those games. Usually they're not RPGs, because RPGs, I start playing them and I don't stop playing them. But like it'd be something. Sometimes it seems to be like kind of like action adventure games. I'll do that, or something that's a little off the wall. Quirky indie games, though, those are my jam. I can't wait to play those. But it's we just gotta recognize sometimes when we're not really in the mood for something. It's just understand it doesn't mean the game's bad. It's just not for you at that time. And it's okay to uninstall it and move on to something else that may be more of what you're down for. I've seen a lot of people like play something like Metaphor for 80 to 100 plus hours, and then like they don't want to look at another RPG.
I wouldn't either. Shoot, I
They
wouldn't want to
don't
look
want to
at
look
one.
at nothing, and yet you need like a palate cleanser at that point. Just
Mm-hmm.
like let me just chill. Let me just chill. Play something that's light, something that's a little short. Maybe I'll play a Telltale game or whatever. Something that isn't going to basically take forever. And you just gotta recognize what you like and what you can and can't play.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that 100%. I just like, and to tie it to what you just said, because it kind of speaks to me. I play God of War 2018 from beginning to end straight. I think I did it over like 2 weeks and beat
Mm-hmm.
it 30 something hours. Complete opposite with Ragnarok. It wasn't the fact that Ragnarok wasn't a good game. I just got
Mm-hmm.
fatigued. And you said the perfect thing. I ended up beating Ragnarok. I finally got around to it and beat it. But it was like 2 years after the game came out. Like I beat it last year. The game came out, I think, in 2022. I beat it last year because when I went to play it, certain things wasn't jiving. It was like the game was longer than it needed to be in certain points. I just felt like it was getting boring at certain points. And I'm like, I like this game, but I just can't with this game right now. So then I just put it down, and then I just happened to go back to it and installed it on. I think it was my place. Matter of fact, it was my PlayStation Slim. I went and installed it on there because I had more hard drive space, because that was another reason I deleted it, because the original PlayStation only had it was like 200 gigs less, and I ended up reinstalling it, and then I just kind of played it, and then next thing I know, I beat it, and it was like 37 hours or something like that. So, like you said, I agree. It just wasn't the game for me at that time, but I just think that there's so many games out here competing for people's time. You can't miss, like you said, with your story, and you can't miss with your overall
especially if you're making an RPG. Yeah,
you can't. Those are
making an RPG. It changes. What's important changes depending upon the genre. Like if I'm playing a first-person shooter, which is a straight shooter, right? When Doom: The Dark Ages comes out later on this year, if the story's kind of whatever, no one cares. Does it play like Doom? Is what they care about. They're not gonna care if the story doesn't make much sense.
Right.
But when Ghost of Yotai comes out later this year, people are going to care if the story isn't as good as the story from Ghost of Tsushima. These are things that they're going to have to make sure they deliver on. And Avowed can't have a mid story. It needs to have a story that people enjoy and people like, because it's an RPG. and as an RPG, people have certain expectations on what that story is going to do. So yeah, and to get back to unfortunately, our conversation about Veilguard is that unfortunately Veilguard's story did not live up to expectations. Not to the expectations of Dragon Age fans, and not to the expectations of people who just tried the game out. Even though it wasn't an awful story, I mean, it was coherent, it made sense, but the writing was very much in your face. I said it before, there were a few conversations in the game that was very Nick Jr.-esque, something that you would see someone write for a bunch of children to understand. And they could do better. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. All right, so Dragon Age, that's one thing, and we don't really know much about what's going on with Mass Effect. We'll talk about that once we get a little bit more information, but I'm kind of worried about that game at this point. Just more due to all the changes and the shakeups and stuff, and it almost has the recipe of being a game that ends up not happening at some point, but one can still hope that it does.
Right.
With that being said, let's move over to some Sony information, some Sony news. So Sony has a new CEO over at SIE. People are kind of being misinformed on the whole situation, thinking that Herman Host is either left the company or demoted out of his position completely. He pretty much just moved down to just being the CEO instead of it being head of studios, or how Phil Spencer was VP of Xbox and everything like that. They just have a CEO. They have a CEO position that's actually over just the studios of PlayStation. And that's where Herman Host is at now. He's just overseeing basically.
He's always had that position.
It's always been that position. People think it was more than what it was. They're just defining
people jumped the gun and was like, he's been demoted. And it's really now.
No, he's the same thing he's always been.
He got passed over. You can say he got passed over for a promotion. Yeah, true.
He did. He definitely
but
got
he
passed
wasn't
over for a promotion.
Demoted.
Yeah.
He has that man walked into the office with, as CEO of PlayStation Studios or whatever title he had, that man, he ran first party. And after the restructuring, he went home with the same exact title that he had when he walked into the office.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing
Now,
has changed.
that does not mean he should be comfortable.
Oh no.
Because that guy, yeah, see, look, Herman might not have that job this time next year. And if he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised when, and sure, this was a rumor and it wasn't confirmed, but if he really felt Concord was going to be Sony's Star Wars, good grief, bro. that really kind of hurts your reputation internally with the company when you're releasing games, and this is like to Sony of all people, you gotta unrelease the game 2 weeks later. Like that hurts your reputation as someone who's managing this stuff and running this stuff. When you have 12 live service games, which part of that whole thing is Jim Ryan's deal too. So he can't take the entire blame for it. But you got 12 live service games and it looks like he may release only like 5 or 6. That's a lot of cancellations. That's a lot of time spent from developers who spent years working on games that aren't going to be released. It's a waste of time, but a waste of resources, a waste of money. And then now those studios have to, if they haven't been shut down, like the what's the name of the studio that did Concord? Was that Fire Sprite?
Yeah, Fire Sprite.
Yeah, now Sony Ben has to have come up with a pitch of a new game, or they'll end up maybe potentially being like a support studio. It's just I think if either Fair Games or Marathon fails, Herman might be out of here. And they might put someone else in that position now. The guy that was his colleague, his co-CEO that handled hardware, is now his boss. He has taken Hiroki Totoki's former position. And now Hiroki Totoki took that position from Jim Ryan. And now Hiroki Totoki is now the CEO of the entire company. And now Hersino, I think is his name, is now it has Totoki's former position. I don't know how well they work together. No one knows that who isn't working internally in PlayStation. But you gotta, if you're him, you gotta start to wonder, like, am I long for this position, or am I going to end up like Shuhei, where they tell me you run indies now, which I didn't think was fair for Shuhei, but it is what it is. I just think that he got to lock in, man. He got to lock in and make sure these games release on time, and that these games are good, hitting a level of quality that they expect them to hit.
I would never.
If not, man,
I never thought I would.
We talking about somebody else in that role.
I never thought I would ever hear a person, especially over the way PlayStation has operated over the last couple of decades, or just even the last decade, that games had the release of quality. How far? And I think that's a lot to do with just the fact that they changed over their whole philosophy for 4 years, basically. They were more focused on chasing a trend than staying true to what the company was. And I'm not going to say I'm not going to say that I don't like the fact that they tried to do something different, because I think they should have invested in some type of live service ecosystem, so they can try to see if they can bring more revenue to the PlayStation platform, because like we were saying, it only takes one of those to like really blow up for you to be made, and then that one game can fund multiple other games for you. You know, that's kind of the live service dream and stuff. Call of Duty, if you think about just Activision in general, funds whatever other games Activision or Blizzard does, or whatever other games. It funds so many other things, especially before they got purchased by Microsoft. But I
Mhm.
just keep thinking of the whole scenario of like, how did we get here? It's like, did we really just get here because one man sat behind a table, was one of the, is always celebrated for winning the European market for PlayStation, and fixing a lot of the issues that ailed them in that ecosystem over there. It ended up becoming the CEO of the company and everything, or a place of SIE, and had the financial idea to want to take all of their studios that had no type of what's the name, in live service, where they had to go out and not only commit money to switching these studios over to a live service setting, but also spend $3.6 billion in order to get expertise from somebody to be able to help with that. So I think that has more to do almost than anything else. $3.6 billion is nothing to sneeze. That's a lot of money to a company. And then when you're thinking about all the billions of dollars that they use to like fit these live service games into the single player, only studios, who knows how much more money that actually costs to do that.
Right.
Now they're just playing catch up with a lot of things. And that's where I think for you, he may not be there next year, because I don't even know if they're going to have games that's going to come out this year that fix the problem. Like, we know that they got Ghost of Yotai coming out this year. But outside of that, I mean, what else do they have? I mean, of course, they haven't had no showcase, and that's probably part of the problem too. The fact that they haven't really talked about what the future
Well,
of PlayStation really looks like.
let's look at what they got coming out. And actually, damn, I had a list of everything that
Shame
they
on you.
planned on
Shame on you. You
releasing.
should always have that list on
Um,
you, sir.
do you have a list?
No, but that's it. But I'm not the one that
Okay,
said that.
then. Thank
But
you.
I'm not the one that said I had a list, though. I'm just saying,
Hey,
shame
look,
on you for not having a list.
I said I had a list. You don't have a list. Okay, so leave me alone anyway.
You're
Look,
you're, you're welcome, SloMo. I'm here for you.
um, a part of that list was games coming outside of PlayStation Studio. So I guess that's not really Herman's purview. Maybe it is. Maybe he does handle deals to bring content in. So maybe he's a part of that as well. So maybe he would get credit for, say, Phantom Blade Zero, for example. That's not a game that's a game that's exclusive to PlayStation, console exclusive to PlayStation, but it's not a game that, from a studio that he actually managed. Looks like a second party game, kind of like Stellar Blade, but that's neither here nor there. The reason why I bring it up is that when you look at the content that they're supposed to drop this year, and with the way things kind of turned out with some of their content, and clearly they are not happy with the content due to the cancellation of games. When you have that kind of thing happening here right now, I wonder if the content that they have coming this year is going to be good enough. And so look, you have what is it? Fair Games. So you got Fair Games. You have MLB The Show, which is an annual thing. So, it's going to do what it does. You've got Marathon. Now, if you look at like Fair Games and Marathon, Fair Games, there's some people who want to just pass judgment on it and say it's going to fail. And they're basing that off of what Concord did. But Concord is a completely different game by a completely different studio. It's a completely different kind of game. And it's just like, you can't make these kind of snap judgments, especially if it was certain studios that you like to champion, you wouldn't be making these kind of brash judgments on whether a game is going to be successful or not based upon literally no information whatsoever. Like all we got is a trailer and we know which studio is making it. That's it. We don't know anything else. We can't say the game's going to fail just off of that. That would be like saying, oh, Starfield's going to fail because Redfall failed.
True.
And some of the same people who think Fair Games is going to fail clearly didn't feel that way about Starfield. So let's not play these kind of games, right? So look, that's it. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to be good. I'm just saying we need to actually see actual gameplay of the game to see if it's going to turn out to be good or not. Because, you know, once upon a time, a lot of people thought Helldivers 2 was going to be a flop.
They did.
And then it turned out to not be. So, you know, let's wait until it comes out. Or wait till we get some feedback from people who've actually played the game. And that gets into my next point about Marathon. Now, Marathon, I think, is going to be a problem for Herman, because I have yet to see any kind of feedback about that game that's been positive. Like nothing. Like everything we've got is supposed to be a distraction shooter. Every developer, not developer, every content creator that plays distraction shooters that they internally showed the game said they wouldn't play it. It ain't for them. I mean, that's not a good look, right? That's not what you want to hear. And what their new director, here's another issue that like I typically find very troublesome. Whenever a studio or a game goes through multiple directors for the same project, I get concerned. When you out here just switching out directors left and right, typically that does not end well. And so when I see or hear anything like that, I get concerned. When that guy comes out and he's talking about his game and he's saying, I mean, the game's supposed to come out this year, and he's saying stuff like, yeah, we can't really show it yet. You haven't shown a single millisecond of gameplay, or you either are severely retooling the game, or you really unsure of the reaction that game is going to get when it comes out. Which, hey, look, if you think it needs a lot of work, all right, do what you do. Make sure you give it the care it needs before you show it. But good grief, that's not, for a game that's supposed to come out this year, it's not really a good look. Ghost of Yota, I think, would be just fine. Yeah. But I mean, they don't have anywhere near, from what I can see, as much content as like Xbox is going to drop. But I think Herman's going to need some help here. If he wants to keep his job, I think he's going to probably need some help here. What do you think about this, Forte?
I think it's all bad for them when it comes to this. Is it like dire? Not for PlayStation, but for Herman? Yeah, I think at a certain point, it's like you can only, like you said, a lot of this can't just be put down just on him, but it also comes back. It stands the reason that when you are head of studios, you have a responsibility to like ask questions about why things are the way they are. We shouldn't be like, the fact that we got this far into development think about Factions. The fact that they got so far into development on that game and then finally had and then I guess Bungie went in and said what they said, but it wasn't Bungie that canceled the game. It was, or put it on pause or whatever they did. It was PlayStation coming in, going off the expertise of that. But the fact that it took them that long to identify that if they were to go that route, that Naughty Dog would basically become a live service studio, because that's not what gamers were thinking. That's what they said. They said,
you know, and here's the thing. This is another issue I have. Why y'all listening to Bungie?
I know you was gonna say.
Stop listening. What does Bungie know? All they know how to do is run out of money. That's all they know how to do. Why are you listening to literally the same developer that Totoki, who's now the CEO, said, very talented people, they don't understand business?
Yeah,
why are you listening to them? They told Naughty Dog, hey, if you do this, you're going to have to turn your entire studio into a live service studio. Really? So then explain how Riot Games has been able to make Valorant so successful with 100 developers. Explain that. That game more successful than any of Bungie's games with far less developers. Make it make sense. They continue to make good content. They continue to iterate on content. Their player base doesn't feel like they're running out of content. How are they able to do that when you can't? Respawn continued to make content and has continued to make content for Apex Legends. Respawn didn't turn the entire studio into a live service studio. What did Respawn do? Respawn went ahead and made an entire second team to make sure they could do the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games. And frankly, ain't nobody asked for Factions 2 to be live service. They just wanted Factions 2. They wanted a bigger, better version of what you already made, but that didn't fit the business format. So whose fault is that? It's just all these mistakes they made. And it all starts with listening to freaking Bungie. Stop listening to Bungie, who ain't even going to exist in another 3 or 4 years. Imagine that. You shut down games based on the word of a developer or people from a developer who may or may not even be working for you no more, for a studio that is nowhere near the kind of studio that it used to be. It's like taking financial advice from a dude who's broke. You gotta diversify your funds. No, you gotta file for bankruptcy. And what I gotta do is not listen to you. Is what I gotta do. Like, what do we? You know, they wanted. The strategy was to work with a developer who was an expert on this stuff. They chose the wrong expert. It's just they chose the wrong one, and I think they probably should have released Factions. You know, see what happens. But you know, you all that's water under the bridge now at this point. You know, it is what it is. They got their Gummy Bears game that was Bungie's, and now it's you know, that its own studio, right?
It's theirs now.
I hope they get their focus together and they can make content that people really enjoy, whether it be live service or what people typically expect from you know, PlayStation, which is, you know, narrative based single player content that of very high production values and really, you know, it's kind of like that Game of the Year contender nominee kind of stuff. You know, get back to doing that.
Yeah, I agree.
But also, you know, throw in some games in there that actually deliver, you know, on the live service stuff. Because they can look, you were able to do it with Helldivers. It's not impossible, but it's just can't be listening to the charlatans like Bungie. You just can't listen to them.
Oh, I ain't in the position.
They are, man.
I'm not in the position to
You
defend them
you
anymore,
you can't defend it.
I ain't in that division. You can't defend it. You're right. You're right. You can't. It's very it's a very polarizing situation. So that's all I'll say. But good luck to Herman. Hopefully everything works out for you, because I never ask and say, because I think that he has a great chance to like redeem this whole story, because one man's F up is another man's triumph. And I think if he can find his way to turn this around, this will all be forgotten. And
right. And look,
that's it.
I hope he's learned a lot from Concord. Like, always take failures as learning lessons, right? Like it didn't work out, but that doesn't mean that we can't learn something from this. And what we can learn from this is there's a way to go about things. There's a way to, when we listen to what people say, listen to what people like about for hero shooters, for example, like there's a way to do these games where people really enjoy them. And you got to look at the ones that are successful and say, all right, we need to do similar things like this. When people say, we don't like the way your characters look, you can't just say, oh, you guys are just, a bunch of edgelord losers who are fat shaming our characters. First of all, your characters are fictional, so you can't fat shame something that ain't real.
That's true.
and second of all, you gotta listen to what a community says about content that they say they may or may not like, because they're the ones that are actually supposed to be spending money here. You're not making a game for you. You're making a game for other people. Actually, okay, you can't say you're making a game for you, because you want to make something that you actually like enjoy making and developing, right? You want to be proud of what you make, but it's a balance, right? Because you can't just make content that only you care about, because then only you are going to want to actually play it.
Right.
You gotta make content that other people want to play as well. So if everyone is saying your character models are ugly, they look lame, and I don't want to play as these characters, so I'm not going to enjoy your game. When someone posts a video clip of, oh, look at this cool thing I did in this game, and all the comments is, why that character look like that? Not, wow, that was cool. You just went on the six player kill streak and you showed your scoreboard and you went like 30-3. Nah, they like, yo, that character looked like a rat. Why does that character look like a fugly blue-green rat? This game sucks. Like that, you can't get mad at the reaction, because that's the majority of people felt when you come out with a beta, and in the beta you got these cool mechanics, but you don't have a tutorial to explain how the mechanics work.
Yeah.
So people play through the beta and then later on find out, oh, so that's what that meant? Oh, that's how that worked? What are you doing? Like, these are things that you could easily see other games doing. Are the successful games in the kind of genre that you were creating? You can't just ignore that stuff and say, well, I'm an artiste, and so what I'm making, nah, fam, this is a business. Get your artistic ass up out of here if you ain't gonna make something that's gonna make money and actually bring butts to seats, picking up their controller or getting on their mouse and keyboard and playing your game. If you can't do that, then why bother? So maybe that's why they canceled these games because they looked at them and said, they all Concords, man. Forte, they're all Concords. We're going to have to unlaunch them after 2 weeks. Get them up out of here.
They're all the same.
We got to unlaunch these things. So let's just cancel them. And that's fine. But learn from the mistakes that you made. And fair games, which, I mean, good grief, it's now about to be February and we still ain't seen this game. And that game was supposed to come out before the I don't think it's going to make it. It was supposed to be out before the Sony's fiscal year was up, which is April. There's just no way. There's just no way I see them showing the game at a state of play. Well, what is supposed to be rumored? It's supposed to be a state of play next month, right?
Yep. It is heavily rumored.
If they don't have so let's say they have a state of play in February. If they don't show fair games at that state of play, it's not making this fiscal year.
Oh yeah, definitely. 100%.
Yeah, it's not happening. I mean, the fiscal year ends in April. How do you show a gameplay for the first time and then be like, all right, coming out 2 weeks? Like for a live service game, you need to do a beta. You need to make sure that, like, you know, your systems work good. You need to get feedback from players from the beta to see how balancing needs to be done. You need to test your servers to make sure you got enough capacity for the players. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And yeah, I mean, I just don't see it. You know, I know Marathon's not supposed to make this. They've been said that would be released outside the fiscal year, but it's just, you know, Herman's got his work cut out for him this year. So I'm interested in seeing how it works out.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes.
Xbox. Man, let's do it.
Xbox is on deck. Gave PlayStation they spoke already. Let's give Xbox theirs. Actually, Xbox really didn't do anything. It's just Xbox doing Xbox things. So earlier today, there still is 3 tent poles for Xbox and Microsoft. The homie, shout out to Kid Smooth, made a hit song called Halo, Gears, and Forza. And that thing sent shockwaves through the internet back in 2020. I think it was 2014 or something when he made that. And those are the games that Xbox was basically built off of, those 3 games. Now, we all know that Xbox has been going forward with their games everywhere approach, and everything's in Xbox, including the PlayStation. And, you know, we started out with 4 games, and we're only going to talk about those 4 games. And is Starfield going to be one of those games? And you know, that question has been asked multiple times over the course of the last year. And even Destin Legary even asked again. And Phil Spencer finally came out and said, no, I won't do that. Why would I keep any game and say not going anywhere?
He ain't doing because they all going.
Why would I? Wait, hold on.
I'm sick and tired.
Wait, hold on. So he says, no, I'm not. And it was like the most emphatic no I've ever heard that man ever say. No, I won't do that because if it makes sense, we're going to put games everywhere. You know, why would I say any game would be only on our platform? And guess what? One tent pole has fallen down. Forza
it won't be the only one.
Nope. Forza Horizon 5 officially got announced for the PS5 today, coming out this summer. And there's only one game that I said, and SloMo would tell you, I had a feeling that everything was going anyways, but I made a video talking about it. I said, if there's one game that don't go, it's Halo. But guess what? It's over, bro. They just listen. This is a big thing.
I told y'all this last summer.
No, we all said this last
summer.
This is big.
I said it last summer. I said
take your walk around. Take your stroll around the park, sir. Hold your medal in your hand while you do
it. Forza Horizon 5 is going. I told y'all this last summer. People, some of them in the chat right now, you don't know that. No, I ain't gonna believe it until Microsoft tell me. Okay. What you believe now?
What you believe now?
You believe it now, don't you?
I bet they do.
Don't be surprised if you see Master Chief Collection on PlayStation.
Oh, I think that's a given.
Don't be surprised if you see games that came out last year for Xbox on PlayStation this year. It's just funny because some people who just refuse to believe that Phil was lying to y'all are now like, oh, I guess what? Everything's going. But you know what? I'm fine with that. They can have those games. They're paying for those games. I'm not paying for them. I'm getting them first. Yeah. I got them in Game Pass, and that's important. Do you pay for Game Pass? Don't you pay for Game Pass? If you say, well, I got the dollar deal for 5,000 years, how was that good for Xbox? Maybe that's why they're putting their games on PlayStation. Because you are playing their games off a dollar that you spent 3 years ago. Hello? Is it sinking in now?
Oh man, being messy now.
They had a earnings call yesterday. We're gonna talk about it later, right?
Yep.
Their growth in PC is like 30%. Their hardware and console negative 29%. You see where this is going, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's and they're gonna put their games everywhere. I don't like it because I don't like the fact that you sell a product and then you devalue that product that you still sell. But it will make perfect sense if you eventually stop selling that product or stop making new products because you're putting your games everywhere else and you can make your money that way. And Microsoft investors are going to be just fine with that. And Satya Nadella, the CEO, is going to be just fine with that. And anybody at Xbox that want to keep their job in team meetings is going to be just fine with that. But you guys are going to be out here trying to create another reason to say you're fine with it. Guess I better go get on PC now. I guess I better figure out how PCs work. What's the difference between VRAM and RAM?
VRAM and RAM.
What's a PSU? Is that like a GPU? Does my case matter? How many case fans do I need? You don't even care about that kind of stuff. But now you feel like you gotta care about that stuff because your platform has been devalued. And does that mean no, it doesn't mean your Xbox stopped working. Your Xbox still works. You know, you turn it on, you play games on it. But it's not like too difficult to wrap your head around the fact that like you have if you are only an Xbox guy, you have the only hardware that doesn't get Nintendo games, that only gets MLB the show because MLB says so, but don't get anything else. You get the Xbox games, yeah, but so does Nintendo with the Switch 2. So does PlayStation with PlayStation 5. So does PC. And they're fine with that. But be honest with yourself. Are you fine with that? Because if you honestly are, well, cool. This whole diatribe is not about you. But most of y'all not. And I'm talking to the most of y'all who not. And you can say, hey, it's great that PlayStation gamers get to play an awesome arcade racer. I agree. Forza Horizon 5, awesome arcade racer. I think it's going to do very well on PlayStation.
It is.
But I mean, you know what that means? That means Forza Tech has got all the tools it needs to work well with the PlayStation game development kits and APIs. So what's that mean about for Fable? Uh-oh. No red lines, right? What's that mean about Forza Horizon 6? Uh-oh. No red lines, right? Those games will be there on launch. Potentially at launch. Maybe not Fable, because it's a little late in the game for Fable. But Forza Horizon 6, bank on that.
You think the first party AAA, you think the tempos are going to be day and date?
Yeah. As quickly as they can make them day and day. Like, I don't think they're going to push it in the sense of, we're going to delay like a game that could be ready on Xbox and to ensure it's ready on PlayStation. Nah, because we saw that with Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones was ready in December on Xbox and PC, and it will be out on next month March or something like that on PlayStation.
Valentine's Day.
Oh man, it's a few weeks. My bad.
Yeah.
3 months later, it's coming out on PlayStation. Fable will be on PlayStation at some point. What I mean is that, like, it may be too late in development for them to and they use, I forgot, Panic Button, who is a support studio and port studio, to port Forza Horizon 5 to PlayStation, likely because Playground Games has one studio for Fable and one studio for Forza Horizon, and they probably didn't have the bandwidth to do the port. But these are studios that, unlike Sony studios, that have tools and middleware and all the tools they use to make games are explicitly made for to work within the PlayStation environment, and they adapt those things and work with them to try to get them to work on PC, which is the reason why, let's say, like Naughty Dog, for example, why The Last of Us Part 1 released so poorly, because the same kind of there's an equivalent tool for, say, like streaming assets into the game off the SSD. That is the equivalent tool is something different on PC than it is on PlayStation, and they don't. There's a learning process. There's a learning curve to getting that stuff done. Xbox developers don't have those learning curves, especially now with Forza, for example, because now they got Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation. So,
it is by far the best racing game going to be on PlayStation 2. Just saying.
Yeah,
especially the best
arcade racer, absolutely.
Best arcade racer, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just saying, and I'll see the mic to you. This is, nobody should be shocked by this. It wasn't just us that told you. It wasn't just DPS that told you this was going to happen. Many people said this was going to happen about these games. So when Gears goes, when Halo goes, when Fable goes, when Elder Scrolls 6 goes, when Starfield goes, don't act shocked. You can't be. That's all I
Sure.
got, man. Go ahead.
You really can't be shocked. You're right. Listen, I already said a lot of it. It just keeps coming back to the fact that this is nothing new. Um, if we go back to just the business update when they were talking about the games going to PlayStation and they announced 4 and said all we're talking about is 4, and then if you listen closely to the things that were said over the course of the calendar year, it was just more about with PlayStation. They said case by case, and it looks like, and I think that was before Xbox knew, like people at Xbox actually knew what the plan was. I think that there was probably a fight behind the scenes trying to not make this happen. That's why you didn't hear, that's why you didn't see, Phil Spencer was very vague with a lot of stuff that he said. But if you go and listen to those interviews he did over the course of the last week, it's clear they lost that fight. And he's literally just telling people like, hey, this is how it is. And he does a really good job in spinning it to make it seem like that's always been kind of the plan. But it definitely wasn't the plan. Before ABK, I think a lot of stuff was still looked at to be exclusive. But I did tell people the thing that people were hoping for the most, to get games like Call of Duty and everything in Game Pass, that comes at a cost. It comes at a cost that once Microsoft sees those books and they start looking at how much money they can make in other places, and then on top of that, you're not really performing on the hardware front because of things that you implemented to kind of quote unquote save Xbox. It was just kind of the easy direction to kind of see that they're going into. So for myself, I'm not shocked by it. I'm not disappointed by it. I'm actually happy because I think these games going to other places, especially games like Forza Horizon, is a much needed thing that's needed on other platforms like PlayStation. And I even think the Nintendo Switch 2 version is going to get announced in April when they do their showcase. I think that version is going to be over there too. It just really comes back to what is going to be a good fit for these platforms going forward. And with that, before we move over to the last thing, it just
Question for you real quick before we move on to the last one. What if, and this is just a hypothetical, or maybe it's not, who knows, right?
Mhm.
But what if, how like at the end of their June showcase, they do like a little mini showcase where they just focus on one game, one big game that everyone's looking forward to. Like last year was Call of Duty.
It was Call of Duty.
And the year before it was Starfield. What if that game is Fable this year? And what if that game is announced for Xbox and PlayStation and PC
during the showcase? Pretty much like how they did
at the end.
That's what I'm saying. So you pretty much saying like how they announced Outer Worlds 2, like they just put up a screenshot and they had PlayStation.
No. How they did Starfield 2 years ago, where they had an entire show. They had like an entire 90-minute show.
No, I'm saying,
and then another 30 minutes for just one game. And they did that with Call of Duty last year. What if they do that and they say, and Fable, you can enjoy Fable on November 15th. I'm just throwing some out there. And then you will also enjoy Fable on PlayStation on February 25th.
The funny thing is, I don't feel like it benefits them to do it that way. It benefit, like, to me, if that's the plan, I feel like it would be a benefit to do your showcase the way you normally do it in June. If it is going to be Fable, do the Fable showcase after that, where it's 30 minutes of just Fable going over all the things that's going to be in the game and basically a developer diary of the game or direct of the game. And then I think if that game is like announced to be, let's say Fable is let's say they announce it, but it's not coming out until February of 2026. It's going to be the game that's coming out at the beginning of next year. I can see them at the Game Awards announcing the PlayStation version, because I feel like in general, you want to get people into the ecosystem that you have crafted at first, and then
Mm-hmm.
let them know other places they can get it from. At least that would be the smart way to do it. Just like it's like double dipping on PC. We know this is the thing. We know Rockstar is going to release Grand Theft Auto 6 on PC, but they ain't going to tell you day one. They going even though we know it's happening, we just don't know when it's happening. So
Mm-hmm.
they're just gonna announce it later on and then get people excited for it then. I think that's the direction they're gonna go. They should go in, but there is a really good chance, because I didn't expect them to announce Outer Worlds day one to say it's coming to PlayStation. Literally the day you show the first gameplay for the game. Now
Right.
Outer
And
Worlds
that was a
is
game that when they did the announcement trailer
it
for it,
was
they announced it as a console exclusive.
as a console exclusive.
And
Yeah.
and now it's going to be day and date on PlayStation.
Yep, day and date. So I can absolutely see that happening. Now, I feel like some games probably shouldn't be day and date everywhere. I think if now when it comes to Bethesda games, I
I
can
don't think
understand
any of
that.
their games should be on PlayStation.
Well,
I
I
just,
don't either. I don't
mean, but
either.
it
But
is
they,
what it
we're
is
at,
at this point.
that ship sailed already. It sailed 2 3 years
I feel like
ago.
you gotta be all in. All like if you're gonna put your games over there, like
You said what now?
I was going to say, if you're gonna start putting all your games over there, then just go the Sega route. Just
You think they just get rid of the
Yeah, I
hardware?
mean, like it just because the hardware doesn't have as much value as the other hardware that is out there now. So just go the Sega route and you just be a full time third party publisher. I mean, they would be a really good third party publisher.
They already
Come
are a
on.
really good third party publisher.
True.
They already are.
Look at what they are dropping this year. That's a lot
Yeah,
of good games.
a lot of good games,
And
bro.
you putting them everywhere. So you might as well just just go do that. You know, it's just rip the band-aid off.
Well, that band-aid is gone. It's been gone for a while now. But I do think we gotta really think about what the repercussions of, like, yes, they're gonna get more incremental sales. And I talked about this in the video. And we're gonna, we might as well transition over to it now, because we already said, but let's transfer over to these financials. Where
Mhm.
Xbox came out and well, not Xbox, Microsoft came out with their financials, and they announced revenue of 7% down when it comes to just gaming in general.
Mhm.
29% down in hardware, content and services, which include Game Pass and other things, that was up 2%. Now, I think people were kind of taken back by those numbers. The only number I was kind of taken back was this content and services only being up 2%. But
Mhm.
I kind of, if you kind of just pay attention to stuff, you kind of notice that things are going to happen the way that they are. Xbox, for the course of the last few years, has been telling people you don't need a console. They've been
Yeah.
posting 30% losses quarter over quarter. This is actually one of the lower numbers that they announced over a quarter, where they only lost 29%, which includes the holiday season. A lot of that, I think, has to do with the fact that they didn't produce as many consoles this past quarter as they did in past quarters. But they really don't want to do that, because they're telling people actively you don't need the console. And then, if you really think about it, the thing that makes them the most money is selling their games on, people buying games on their platform. So if you're down 29% to hardware, you're you're ultimately going to be down in revenue when it comes to, like, software sales and everything, because you're not getting that extra 30% or 20% or whatever that you're taking from third parties like you would normally do. And then yeah, you're
Mhm.
still making a lot of money off of games like Apex Legends and Fortnite, but there's more people playing those games on PlayStation than on Xbox. So
Right.
and then you're actively telling people that they don't need this console. You're actively telling them you can play on a PC. You're actively saying you can go on a PlayStation. Everything's an Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
We got Samsung TVs. We just announced that we have another partnership with another TV. I believe it was LG. So all of these different places are taking away from the fact that revenue is going down on your own platform because you're not talking about it. And then it's just being in conjunction with that in general, with just hardware sales being down. Then you think of the
Mm-hmm.
revenue, you think about the content and services side of it. Now, Game Pass, a lot of people thought that Call of Duty was going to make a little bit more of a dent inside of that. But the only reason I don't think it's as bad as people think is because last year, 61% up in revenue looked
Well,
really good. It looked really
the,
good because
to be fair,
you just infused
they
Call
did
of Duty into
say
that. Yeah, go ahead.
that their okay, so their content and revenue growth and services growth for revenue was like it was the only thing that was
It was
positive,
the only thing positive. Yeah.
and that was 2%, which isn't like great, but they said that was fueled by growth in Game Pass.
In Game
And
Pass, mostly
and
PC
so
Game Pass.
right. So that
30% up in PC Game Pass for the quarter.
right. So that's good. Um I think that and they kind of told their investors that this was going to be they kind of like they warned them ahead of time. They gave them guidance back in a couple months ago that to expect these kind of numbers for this quarter. So I think their investors were aware that this was going to occur. Um and a lot of the revenue they generated was from PlayStation, from the
Right.
PlayStation platform and PC. Again, as we said in the previous segment, their growth on PC was like 30%.
Yeah.
Yet the Xbox hardware down 29%. And so I saw a lot of discussion
Hmm.
on social media this week
Talk
where
about it.
people were very brazen in their I guess frustration with other people and not believing when Xbox executives say they're still going to make hardware. Now, I believe they are working on hardware. What I don't believe is that it's a guarantee that hardware will release.
Oh yeah, it's no
When
guarantee.
you
Yeah, you're right about that.
when you were consistently not making money, when you were consistently year over year not matching your sales output of the previous year, when you are now not even making as many of the hardware as you used to make, because it doesn't make sense to keep making something that isn't selling. Yeah, sure. Your new hardware is going to be different. And maybe due to how different it is from a traditional console, maybe the reason why you choose to continue to make this new device, right?
Yeah.
But anyone is it you can God bless you if you have the kind of faith to just basically be like, yeah, they still gonna make it.
They still gonna make it.
After they told you we acquired Bethesda to bring you exclusive games, and then now they're sending those games everywhere. After they told you so many things that they weren't going to do. Hey, it's just 4 games. This in no way is uh, a change in business philosophy of what we're doing going forward. You can't hear all this stuff and then immediately be like, yeah, anything that they say, they absolutely going to do. How? How can you be so sure of that?
Mm.
And I know some people think, well, they wouldn't abandon the community. Yes, they would. They don't care about y'all. They don't care about how y'all feel.
Mm.
They care about making money, man. The money people are in charge now. They care about making money, generating revenue. Satya Nadella's bonus is based off of gaming revenue. It ain't based on your feelings. And if they let's say they chose not to do a new console, that doesn't mean they stop supporting the one that they already put on the market. That doesn't mean that the Xbox Series X that you bought isn't going to get Elder Scrolls 6. No, it's still going to get that. They're still going to put that on there. It's just that they're going to make a business decision. The business decision is we're not going to keep making something that doesn't sell. I mean, it's at some point you just gotta acknowledge those things. And again, I'm not saying absolutely they're not making another Xbox. I actually lean more towards the case of the next hardware they put out there would be some kind of console handheld hybrid that when you dock it would have maybe like an eGPU kind of thing, even though I think that might be a bit far-fetched, but something that when it's docked is more powerful than it is as a handheld. But I think whatever they're not making a traditional console anymore. I don't think they can get that approved going forward. But I think I'm leaning more towards that. But would I be shocked if they just decided to not make another Xbox? No. I don't care what they say. Say a lot of stuff that they don't actually follow through with. So it is what it is, man. Like, yeah. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Aronovich said you want to bet on that.
I don't want to take a Rob his money because he wanted to bet me that these pillar games wouldn't be going to PlayStation, and that would have took his money. No, keep your money at Rodimus.
Part of me feels
all I want is to be able to tell you, hi, I was right again. And for you to move the goalpost again. That's the only satisfaction I want.
Yeah. So what the numbers don't tell you is this is like probably one of the more like revenue generating, even knowing those numbers are down, they made a lot of money still. It's still a lot of money that ran in the billions of dollars that ran through there. This just happens to be, like I said last year, when they infused the ABK numbers into Xbox, you saw that big 60% spike, and that's because that was money that wasn't accounted for inside of the books in 2024, or not 2024, 2023 at the time. Now you're seeing them go against quarter over quarter, year over year numbers, and that's why they were talking. You got to think Call of Duty last year wasn't available inside of Game Pass. You had to pay for it. So I do think the fact that this year's Call of Duty contribute a little bit to, probably not even a little bit, a lot to the fact that, they were down, 7% in revenue, because that's a lot of people not buying the game. Even if you were one of those people that bought the $30 pass just to unlock the core, the Vault Edition, that's still $70 less than most people would have ended up paying for the game just on one platform alone. And then if you add the fact that PC Game Pass grew 30%, we don't know what the starting number was, but we do know that they said between console and PC was the one that was growing the most over the course of the last 3 to 4 years. It's subject to say that that's a substantial number of people that played that game inside of PC Game Pass and didn't, fork over the $170 to $100 to play the game. So that kind of hurt there too. I'm really interested to see if they still bring Call of Duty to Game Pass going next year, because I think that's a year on year thing. The fact that they
I think
didn't
they
just
will.
commit,
I don't.
I think they will
It
too.
didn't do it it didn't do bad.
Yeah, it didn't do
even
bad.
with it being on Game Pass. So I think they've seen enough where they're fine with it going to being on Call of Duty again next year. No, I think they're fine. I think they're fine. I think they're fine with Call of Duty in general.
Yeah, I think they're.
And
I
and
mean,
and
it's the best
and
thing that
and
they got. They got to be fine with
yeah.
it, honestly. Um, so I'm interested to see what that kind of looks like. They didn't separate. The funny thing is they didn't like really discuss how ABK's impact to Xbox was this year around. They just kind of
Mm-hmm.
just talked about the whole number in general. So part of me feels like the number's still being kind of hidden, like to what Xbox themselves was doing outside of ABK. I mean, which is, I mean, Call of Duty's a part of it now. So, I mean, but you know how everybody wants to kind of have that conversation like, well, where would it be if they didn't have Activision Blizzard? And I'm sitting there like, it really doesn't matter because they do have it. And that's just how it
Mm-hmm.
is. But I do think this is the money making season for Microsoft at this point. Like, between Bethesda and Activision, you're talking about close to $80 billion being spent. And then if you're talking about all the other studios they purchased over the course of that 4 or 5 years, let's just round it up to like a even $84 billion, being spent. It's time to pay that,
Right.
and there's rumored hardware still
Gotta
on the
make that
horizon.
money back,
Got to
man.
make that money back. And I don't think that they're done with consoles. I do think there will probably be another console, but like you said, that's not set in stone. I think the only thing kind of set in stone is that handheld that they're working on. Because I do think that's another avenue to get people into their ecosystem. It's not
Mm-hmm.
it's like a lower. I mean, it's not like a higher barrier entry. It's like people can play that in more places. They kind of seen what the Switch was able to do. They see what people that want to play on Lenovo or the ROG Ally or something like that. They see how
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation Portal, even though PlayStation Portal isn't like selling gangbusters, it is a really good complementary piece to the PlayStation 5, especially now that they open it up so you can actually stream your games if you're at the highest tier of platinum. So
Yeah, and
there,
they're also working on an Xbox and uh, somewhat of an Xbox OS kind of experience
yeah,
where they can then really kind of support other handhelds made by like Asus and Lenovo and whatnot to kind of like go up against Steam OS. I think they're a little slow to the game with that. It may not work out the way they want it to due to how quickly Valve and Steam are moving on that front. But I mean, this is all leaning really towards really their grand strategy is that like it's not just one device, and they're beyond that now. They don't really they're not going to be just pushing Xbox or even pushing Xbox at all. The console that is,
right.
um shoot, even if you look at like remember when we did the whole we did that one episode and we went into the Wayback Machine and we were
Yeah.
looking at like
Looking at
how
like
they changed the marketing on the Xbox website for certain games
yeah,
and
because
how
one
at
of
one
them was
point those games
Hellblade.
was at one point the game was said just Xbox X and S and PC, and then it
Yeah.
went to consoles. It
Yep.
said
Consoles.
just like, which is that could be a Nintendo Switch, that could be
Yeah.
that could be a PlayStation, and it was multiple games that we saw where we actually could see the dates where they started changing those things, which was basically right around the time that we started hearing the rumors that they were moving, that they were starting to put their games on PlayStation. So, all that said, like, when you look at like Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation, when you look at how it looks, it doesn't say made, because like Xbox Game Studios is the publishing arm of Microsoft Gaming that handles Playground Games. They're under Playground Games is under Xbox Game Studios, with Halo Studios, with the Coalition and Obsidian, all them. On PlayStation, go look it up. Look at what they got listed as publisher for Forza Horizon 5. It says Microsoft Corporation.
Yep.
Like, when you, well, I always kind of preach about is like brand power, and how even if you have a sometimes subpar product, brand power can have it sell well because it's what people look for. It's what people know. Now, you don't get a strong brand by having a subpar product. It has to be, really fantastic at some point in order to kind of reach that kind of height. But you don't see people, and don't take this the wrong way if you own this car, but you don't see people bragging about having a Hyundai.
Oh man.
You don't see people bragging about having a Toyota Corolla, but you'll see people bragging about having a Mercedes, a Lexus, a Tesla for some of y'all who like y'all Teslas. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't see people.
Hieronymus likes his Hyundai. Leave him alone.
Hey, look, I heard it's a very reliable car. Good for him.
It's got a good 10-year warranty on it too.
Well, they need to give it a 10-year warranty, because they got not that it's bad, because they gotta find a way to look. They gotta find a way to bring people in the door. That's what I'm saying, right? So like, man. I'm getting off topic here. What I'm trying to say here is that strong brands, people just go to the brand. And when you don't have a strong brand, like you're constantly having to give more to your consumer base in order to even be on even playing field with your competition that has a stronger brand than you, or you got to change your brand. You got to change the name of your brand, change the name of the product. You got to switch it up. And when your localization efforts have been subpar for many a console generation, when you really have only really tried to do well in like the American territories, you haven't really cared about doing better in other territories. When you stop openly, you just stop marketing in Europe. You just stop, and even your employees are talking about how you don't market in Europe anymore. When you stop doing these things, that affects the brand. That affects how people view it, and that affects whether people even care about it. Like a lot of us got kids. Do their friends care about Xbox? Y'all know the answer to that without even me having to ask you. You know what people would talk about. Oh, yeah. Or their friends play PlayStation. Is that anecdotal? Sure. But when it's everybody saying the same exact thing, it's a little bit more than anecdotal. So it's just when they are putting these games over there and they don't want to call it being published by Xbox Game Studios, and that's what it is. It's being published by Xbox Game Studios. Instead, they're just going to say, it's published by the Microsoft Corporation. It says a lot, man. It says a lot. I think they want to distance themselves from some of the mistakes they made with the brand. I think that's just my opinion. That's not nothing I heard, but that's just kind of how I see those kind of decisions playing out. That's all.
Dang, I didn't even think it kind of like that. I mean, I yeah, it's a lot of different ways you can kind of look at the where Xbox kind of finds themselves at this point. Most of it due to their own doing and everything, like we always talk about. But I don't. This is the thing. I don't think this is a bad thing for them. I think this is transition. Phil Spencer, went on this media blitz and basically just talked about the transition, like the fact that he finally came out and said that those no red lines. Hey, but why would I keep anything away from anybody else? Also, the fact of the process proposition of owning an Xbox. Why should you own an Xbox? And I do think there's a little a misunderstanding around some of the stuff he said. Some people are saying, like, when he was talking about the reason to buy an Xbox is because of, like, he was talking about the save datas and stuff and being able to play games like Gears of War with one of his coworkers and then pulling down his save file from like 11 years ago and being able to do that. I think a lot of people are like, well, so cloud saves don't work on nothing but Xbox and on, PC Game Pass. It's not like that will work if you're on PlayStation because it doesn't work on Steam now. And I don't think he was talking about that. I think he was talking about the value proposition of why you want to be on an Xbox or or in their ecosystem like Xbox Game Pass PC, because that's
Hmm.
where that stuff exists at. So the games are one thing, but the reason you want to play in their ecosystem is because it's easy to move around the ecosystem and have those features as a part of your everyday gaming life, like being able to pick up a game that you haven't played in 7 8 months and knowing that your save is going to be there, instead of if you go somewhere like Steam or PlayStation, that stuff is locked to their ecosystem. You won't have cloud saves to be able to like go from one place to the other, where on Xbox and on Xbox Game Pass PC you can do that. I think those are the things he was talking about when it came to that. Now it really depends on what that value proposition is to you. Is that enough for you as a gamer? Most people would
So
probably say
so so you talking cross progression?
yes, because that was the biggest, right?
So
Because
okay,
that's the biggest thing he was
okay,
talking
so
about was cross
here's an
progression.
example. Here's an example. Forza Horizon 5 is coming to PlayStation in the spring. Let's say March or April, right?
Yeah,
One of
March or
those.
April.
So let's say I go buy PlayStation Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation.
Yep.
I mean, I've played the game on Xbox.
On Xbox and
I've played the
PC.
game on PC on PC. I've played it through Steam and I've played it through the Xbox app. There's no, I gotta start completely over.
Let me ask you this: when you play the Steam version, is all your stuff there?
I don't even remember, honestly. I
Because
think
that's
with Forza, because I have Forza Horizon 4 and I have a 5 as well. I can't, maybe I haven't played 5 on there, so maybe I don't know for sure, but I know I played 4 on there, and I know I did not have my game saves for 4, so I'm not 100% certain on that. But
yeah. Because I think that's the proposition of being an Xbox. From if I read it the way that he was saying it, if you're on Steam, because if I remember correctly, because Halo, I know you played Halo. You played the campaign for Halo on Steam, right?
no, I played it on
Oh,
Xbox
you played it on
because
Xbox.
it was in Game Pass on Xbox, but
Yeah, because
the multiplayer I played on Steam.
well, now the multiplayer,
I went back and forth.
well, I
I've been
know
back
that,
and
well,
forth
the
a lot.
multiplayer
Yeah.
is not a problem because the multiplayer is on their server. That all that stuff is
Hmm.
going to be there because you have to log into an Xbox login to be able to play that game on PC. So you'll have access to like your online and it's crossplay with everybody across different systems and stuff. But when it came to
Hmm.
single player, it was I don't think for campaign, unless you were the only place you could get campaign um save data for your Xbox was on the Xbox app.
Yeah.
I don't think it worked
Yeah, I know
on
I had it
Steam.
on the Xbox app. I just couldn't remember if I did on
So basically anybody. So if we go off of this, and like I said, this is we don't know this, and I guarantee this will come up at some point. People that bought and played Forza Horizon 5 on Xbox, when
mhm.
you go to put this game in on your PlayStation, you will not have your save data for your campaign. You'll have to start over.
Okay. But I mean,
But like I said, it comes down to what
that's
kind
such a
of
mind.
but think about that is, I mean, for me, being a person that plays everywhere, it might be a bigger thing, but for a person that like most of these people, you got to kind of think about it. You know how PlayStation comes out with that report? It says, 70% of the people that are on PlayStation 5 didn't own a PlayStation 4. And I'm sitting there like, that number can't be right. You sold 100 and freaking 20 plus million of those things. And then you said the same thing when PlayStation 4 came out. You said, oh, 70% of PlayStation 4 owners didn't have a PS3. And I'm like, huh? So I don't know how that number really breaks itself down, but that's kind of the way that this is going to work. Whereas most of these people that plays this game across PlayStation never played it before. So you're going to be starting over no matter what. So is it a really big
Yeah,
deal
the
for
majority of
most
the
of
people that's going to play
yeah, it's
Forza
not going to
Horizon 5 on
matter.
PlayStation don't have a game save to even bring over. So was it even worth it to try to get cross progression set up to allow that to happen? No.
Yeah, but that's the but
But
like I
like,
said,
but
that's the
here's the thing is that
benefit that
like
he
Play
sells it for.
Anywhere has a better benefit, in my opinion, to them getting third party publishers and developers to do those kind of things. And not necessarily their own games, because it's like, I mean, it's your game, bro. Like you made that. So I kind of like you
But the,
champion those things, and you know how much it takes as far as time and development and cost to implement those things and get that set up.
yeah,
When you look at the value of putting that time in on a port that is done by Panic Button and not even Playground Games, and going to a platform where this IP has never existed before, yeah, it ain't really worth it to put it there. But I
right.
just don't see that as like when people, would be a much better value of playing, saying, hey, I'll get this on Xbox, is that it's only on Xbox. That's a great bigger value. Or at the very least, it's coming out on Xbox before it comes out on these other platforms. But we are increasingly seeing more and more where that's just like eventually that's just I don't see that being the case where you be seeing so many games are day and date on both, that they got coming up in the future.
Yeah,
So
Ramon just said that he bought Forza Horizon 4 and 5 on Xbox, and none of that stuff
oh,
carried over to Steam when he bought it.
okay, well that good, that explained it then. That's good.
So that's I like the fact that he talked about the value proposition of that. He also talked about how he wants the hardware to still be king and stuff like that. And I don't know what I
don't
don't
know.
know what he's talking
How
about
do
there.
you explain that?
Wow, what and like you devalued the hardware,
Stop
so
it.
how is it gonna be king?
Just complete PR business
I was like,
nonsense.
what?
Just come on,
I
man.
was like, what are we
Stop
talking
it.
about?
What are you talking about, bro?
I love Phil Spencer, man. That dude is a gamer through and through. But I was like, what are you? I was like, it can't be because you killed it. You literally killed it. Like it's not even a joke. You you're
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how to even respond to when he said that. It was just like
No, what are you
maybe
talking about, guy?
I was
What are you
lost.
talking
I was like,
about?
what did you say? What? I mean, did you mean to put PlayStation in front of that sentence? You want PlayStation to be king, right? Because you've done a really good job of that. I mean, basically PlayStation's revenue. Did you see the report that PlayStation made $100 million off of Xbox games?
I did not see that. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
fascinating.
over the last quarter, like so far, I think it was over the last quarter, they made over $100 million off of just Xbox games. Crazy. I was like, I was like, oh wow. Now, so if they made that much, then that means Xbox made a good penny off of PlayStation games, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. So,
Yeah.
so
As a third party publisher,
oh, they're gonna make
they
a lot of
they
money, bro.
they making a
Lot
lot
of
of
money.
money. They're
Lot
gonna
of
make a
money.
lot of money.
Now, this is the unfortunate thing, and we're gonna go because the unfortunate thing to all this is, and we talked about this, I think, last year, early last year, all of these games coming out, and it just seems like this would have been the opportunity for them to really turn Xbox around. If you can imagine that these games were exclusive to the Xbox platform, this direct that they just showcased, where
Excuse me.
literally 4 out of the 5 games are coming out within the first 4 months, well, 5 months of the year. Like
Yeah,
you got,
their first half of
I was
2025
like,
lineup
it's nuts. I mean,
is crazy.
they got 2 big games coming out 2 weeks apart in April, and they're going to be in Game Pass day and date. So they have offers for days when it comes to content. Now it's just up to them to like realize that content and give people what they want. They did a great job out the gate with Indiana Jones, because trust me, more people were skeptical of that game than actually thought that game was going to be great, because everybody was like kind of focused on the first person aspect of it. And I still think the game would have been better if it was third person. But for what they did with the game, it was a really freaking good game in first person, and it was a looker. The story was good, and guess what? PlayStation gamers are going to be able to experience that game in the next 15 days on Valentine's Day when it releases on PlayStation 5. And now they started they
They
ended the year
released it on
strong.
Valentine's Day. They released it on Valentine's Day because they love PlayStation.
They love PlayStation. It's going to be a big old Indiana Jones in the great circle and a heart that says loves PlayStation next to it. But and the fact that they threw them that bone with Outer Worlds, and actually like nobody was looking for them to, come out and say, "Oh, this game's coming out on PlayStation on the day of." They literally put it in the marketing. The day that they announced the game, they showed a gameplay off for it. So at this
Hmm.
point, I am more in line to the fact that they just need to go ahead and just go third party. They're already third party. I mean, they're a glorified third party developer that just happens to have a console, which has kind of never happened before. But I also subscribe to the notion that none of the stuff that they were talking about with hardware, with the exception, I think, of the handheld, because I think that handheld is definitely going to come out. But when it comes to like a fully featured in-home console
Hmm.
that's rumored for 2028, that's all dependent on what happens with Xbox and their hardware situation and Game Pass on consoles. If they see a really good number in growth on the console side of it, because there are people out there buying consoles because there's a reason to buy them due to the offerings they have coming into Game Pass. Shout out to IOP. When I was on there on Thursday, I talked to them about it, and I said, listen, up until this year, a lot of people weren't looking for Game Pass. Like, it wasn't something that the normal casual gamer would come into the store and ask for. I've sold multiple systems, like not 2, not 3, not 4, like up into the 10s and 20s and stuff over the course of the last month and a half. And most of them is because people are getting interested in wanting to play with Game Pass. Now, is that because people are just running out of money and it's the end of the year, and you know how it is after Christmas, you just ain't got the loot until that tax
Hmm.
return comes back? That might be part of it, but I also think a lot of that's to do with the showcase they just came up with and showed off all of these great games that's coming. And not only are they going to be available on PlayStation, they're going to be inside of Game Pass too. So they have a good working ecosystem going right now. It really just comes down to, are they going to stay consistent with it, slow mo? And that's always been an issue with Xbox. Are we going to be consistent? Is Matt Booty going to put is he going to put his booty on somebody's neck if they not doing what they supposed to do? If they're not living up to these deadlines and hitting
You
these
know he
and
won't.
Well, listen, this is what has to happen though, because if he's not going to do it, and I was listening to, I forget who I was listening to, and they were talking about this. Um, how can you expect something to be different when everything's the same? When you have the same leadership in place with the same issues, it's going to be easy to
You
move
weren't
on.
listening to me because that's what I've been saying for forever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, no, no, I'm giving you your flowers too, because this is we've all kind of said this, but to the extent it's like, if everything is the same and nothing changes, how do you expect 2 or 3 years later? Phil Spencer's been head of Xbox for almost 10 years now. Just moved up in different positions. Sarah Bond has been there for almost as long. I mean, longer, almost as long as that. Matt Booty, all of these people, we talk about how PlayStation is having all this turnover at their high end, CEO positions and stuff, but that's kind of normal. A lot of companies flip those positions over and over again within a 4 to 5 year period to kind of keep things fresh.
Right. And they haven't been doing that.
And they haven't done that at Microsoft. And that's and trust me, nobody's trying to say Phil needs to go or anything, because I do feel like Phil has done a great job with Xbox, saved it from the brink of destruction and gave it a purpose inside of Microsoft. And as much as people don't want to give him his flowers, he convinced them to spend this money. Like, Microsoft wasn't going to spend $80 billion just to spend $80 billion. That was Phil Spencer convincing them of the plan to do it. Now, does Microsoft regret it? Who knows at this point, just due to the fact that they own it now, they're going to do everything they do in their power to make it profitable. And that's the kind of direction you see with these games going into other places. And the ultimate thing is to get Game Pass in other places. These games in other places is one thing. Game Pass is a whole nother thing. And I think that's kind of the long game for them. They want to show that their ecosystem is valuable when it comes to the games and stuff that they produce on other platforms. And then if they can find a way to get their games over on a sub-service like that, then I think that's like the ultimate goal with that. But that's kind of what I have around it. But do you have anything else you want to talk about when it comes to that?
Nah, man. I think we killed this topic.
Yeah, man. We kill everything, bro. We out here. We out here for real, for real.
That's what DPS is about, man.
But that's true. But yeah, guys. Shout out to you guys in the chat. We're at 53 people right now, and we appreciate all you guys. This is like the only chat where Xbox and PC and PlayStation gamers could come and just not bicker. Well, sometimes you bicker, but it's okay.
Well, I'm about to say, have you been looking at it?
No,
They've been bickering the entire show. But
well, shout out Andrew Wilkins is always when I see him in the chat.
Not just him, but it's been a lot of bickering.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in the chat bickering, and it's fun. But as long as we keep it in respect, as long as it's respectful, that's all that really matters. So but the bickering is real in the chat. But we appreciate you guys. But with that being said, this is episode 213 in the books. Going to be back next week at 9 p.m. with my homeboy SloMoBackSlap, always doing the greatest things that he always does. Please let everybody know where they can find you, what you got going on your channel, and what's and everything else.
Not much going on the channel right now, but I will be doing more content on this channel, the DPS channel. So look out for that. Yeah, man, that's about it, man.
Yeah,
catch me on Blue Skies. Blue Skies. Not Twitter.
Not Twitter.
I'm on everything but a Twitter. Blue Skies.
He just hasn't deactivated
Orange Sunsets. Gray Storms, whatever you want to call it.
Gray Storms. Hey, listen, man, but the more and more people that head over to Blue Skies, it's going to turn into Twitter. So you might want to tell people.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's good for now. It's good for now, Yeah. Eventually it'll get bad.
Yeah. The Dark Lord Fusion. Appreciate that, man. Really appreciate you guys coming through. But for myself, Gary Forte, YouTube, Twitter, all those places. Once again, thank you for everybody that came through and checked out the video I put up. I got the Forza video going up in the morning, so please come through and check that out when it goes up at 8 a.m. in the morning. Outside of that, Iron Lords podcast this Sunday. I won't be there because I have to work, but I'll be there back the week after that. So make sure you go over there and show the support like you always do when I'm there. Like I really mean anything. But I love you guys anyways and appreciate all
man.
You
mean a lot over there, man. You filling in for good old Saab on his sabbatical.
Listen, I feel inadequate because that's a tier over there, man. And I'm just happy to be a part of it over there. So really appreciate all that too. But with that, guys, you guys are awesome. We appreciate you guys. We will see you guys next week. And enjoy the games you're playing. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the rest of this week with your family. Somebody please put some voodoo on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs so they don't win the Super Bowl next week.
Nah, I need them to win, man. I can't stand Philly fans. Y'all are awful human beings. Awful human beings. Yes, I said it. They suck. They are garbage.
Y'all
I can't
did
stand them.
About them then.
No. I ain't nothing I can do about their fans.
No,
the team, the players on the team. No. The fans suck. They suck at everything. They suck at life. That's why they so irritable and nobody can stand them. That's yes, so Philly fans. I say that about every one of y'all. Suck at life.
So you want to see Chiefs Queendom win 3 Super Bowls in a row?
Yes. As long as I can laugh at Philly fans for losing another Super Bowl, absolutely.
Is this mostly due to the fact that they just embarrassed y'all in the playoff game and you doing this?
No.
You sure?
Because I got no smoke for Philly players. It's the fans who, after they in the Super Bowl, I still see them on social media complaining about their last loss of the year. They suck. I can't stand them. I cannot.
You ain't got to root for the fans, SloMo. You root for the team.
No. I need them to be hurt. I need them to be hurt.
I can't believe you doing this.
So after the Super Bowl, I need to see them crying. I want real tears. I want pain. I want them to bet big money and lose it. I want them to get their kneecaps bent backwards because they lost, because they bet big and lost. I need all that to happen.
Oh my God. I can't. You my co-host, and I can't with you right now. It's like, listen, I didn't have this energy for, like, Washington Commander fans aren't as bad as Eagles fans. Nowhere near it. So I won't even say
no,
that.
Not at all. We be chilling.
But guess what? When y'all beat us,
you have seen, but after we beat you, and we dropped 45 on your head. You didn't see me like hi, like all in your face, hi, no, all that other stuff.
You left me alone.
Philly fans have no chill. They are the most toxic individuals in the world. And if you tell them they're toxic, they call you, they prove their toxicity by calling you every part of the female anatomy. They don't deserve a Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
They don't deserve a parade. They deserve to walk out their front door and get hit in the face with baboon. They deserve for their car to not start in the morning.
So you want
they deserve to have their tires just blow out while they on the road.
Oh my God! So
they deserve to be fired on their day off. That's what I got for Philly fans. They trash. They trash, man.
Oh my God!
Anytime your team got put a jail in the stadium, they got put a jail in the stadium.
They do have a jail in the stadium. That's why
you gotta, because y'all suck that bad.
They do have a jail in the stadium.
You got a jail in the stadium. You're terrible.
A 4x4 in the stadium. Oh my God. They do. You might be right, but still, I can't. Listen, I can't. As much as I don't like Philly like that. I don't root for Philly. But guess what?
You have to understand, they are a division rival for us. Okay, so it's not just the fact that they blew us out in the conference championship, but we see them all the time. And I deal with Philly fans all the time. It's a 2-hour drive from where I live because I'm in the DMV area. Philadelphia is just 3 hours away. They are, you don't understand, Forte, how aggravating these people are. They're like a mosquito
Like a
that
tick
just
that won't
buzzes
go
by
away.
your ear. They just won't go away. Just go in a corner somewhere and die, mosquito. Like, stop buzzing around my ear. This is how Philly fans are.
Everybody is like shocked that they have a
And
jail in the
talk
stadium.
the biggest mess. Yes, the jail in the stadium. Talk the biggest mess. How many Super Bowls they got? 1. You would think they got the most Super Bowls in NFL history. They got 1 Super Bowl. 1. And they act like they are the greatest.
My God.
Act like you've been here before. Oh, wait, you can't. So
all right, that's the bonus.
I'm done.
Hey,
I'm done.
that's why. Hey, guess what? I'm, and this is why we need to have a community football podcast where we can air our grievances, because I don't want to go to 12 o'clock talking about why the hell we should.
It can be 2 a.m. I'll still be going in on the Philadelphia Eagle fans.
Oh my God. All right, guys. Episode
and
12,
the most ignorant fans of football, by the way. Football intelligence is negative. -5 football intelligence. They don't understand anything. All they know about is their own players. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
3 people. You got 4 or 5 people to probably just unsubscribe from this podcast because you just made them feel bad.
Okay, good.
Oh,
I ain't want y'all Eagles fans here. Stop. Okay, I'm done.
Oh, Lord. All right, guys. We will see you guys next week. We appreciate you guys for coming through, and enjoy your week and enjoy everything else with it. Peace.
Peace.
You wild.